Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and this is my review of Shadow in the Cloud. Shadow, singular, in the cloud, singular. I typed this a million different variations before I typed the correct one. Shadows in the clouds, wrong. Shadow in the clouds, wrong. Shadows in the clouds, wrong. Shadow, single, in the cloud, single, correct. So I watched this last night. I paid $19.99 for this, and I want my money back. I want your money back. I want everyone's money back to people who paid it. This is a hateful, bigoted piece of propaganda. I felt sick watching this on multiple different levels. And the saddest thing is, this has the bones, the concept, the structure of a really fun movie. A fun movie you could have rented and watched with your family, and men and women watching it having fun. And what this ends up being is a miserable slog through every imaginable variation of misandry you could put into a movie. So the basic concept is Twilight Zone. It's a Twilight Zone episode. That's what it is. It's written by Max Landis, whose father directed the Twilight Zone movie of the early 1980s. And it's Twilight Zone. That's it. That's it. That's all it has to be. All it has to be is a twist. Spoiler, don't go watch it. At the very beginning, Chloe Moretz goes to this mysterious airfield, and you see one of those guys with the lighted up cones, and then he disappears, and then a plane lands, and then it's somehow come to a stop and it's behind her really quickly. I thought the twist at the end was good. It was going to be a ghost plane, or something like that. It's not a ghost plane. That was just weird direction. What this is a movie about a woman who can do literally everything, and men who are, just guess what I'm going to say before I say it: evil, cowardly, or ineffectual. So the thing about this, again, the plot, while getting very, very silly, I kept thinking this would be so much better as a cartoon. Because things about this movie that don't work, specifically having to do with, physically moving through space and gravity and stuff like that, and people enduring injuries, in an anime, it would just totally fit in with every other anime. When you do it in live action, you're just like, how is Chloe Moretz climbing on the bottom of a World War II bomber while it's flying, while it's being shot at, and how is she not, like, how strong are her forearms and fingers? So the idea is that Chloe Moretz goes up to this bomber right before it's about to take off. Actually, it's starting a taxi. And she just gets in like it's an Uber. She's like, "Hi, you don't know anything about me, but here's some orders I forged that says I'm on a top secret mission." This crew. Oh, this crew. I think I need to go backwards a little bit. So Max Landis, again, I mentioned he's the son of John Landis. Did a ton of movies in the 70s and 80s, and even up until recently, but 70s and 80s was his heyday. He was the it guy from, like, I don't know, 2012 to 2015 or so. He wrote Chronicle, and then he got so many deals. It was insane. I think in 2015 he had like 3 movies come out in theaters, like within a few months of each other. American Ultra, some Frankenstein movie, and one other one, I think. Oh no, that was Mr. Right. I think Mr. Right had like a limited run. I actually really like Mr. Right. I recommend the hell out of that. And everyone who sees it, they go, "That was really good." So Max Landis, he was kind of like this squirrely, weird guy. And from the beginning, people kind of hated him. I hated him because he was doing that, like, over the top, "I'm such a geek, look at me," type of thing. And he was very kind of cloying and annoying in like a Hollywood way. But it felt like the hatred of him was overblown. And for years, it just felt like it was jealousy. Around 20, I don't know, 15 or so, there started to be, Twitter vague accusations against him. But they were vague, and they were also told in this like neener style. Like, if this is really such like a serious allegation, then why are you doing it in this like cutesy, almost like teasing way? In 2017, he had a Will Smith movie called Bright that he wrote. I mean, he got so many deals, and he did a couple of comics as well. I mean, just every few months he was doing deals. So in 2017, more serious and more detailed accusations came out against him, but again, timed to a major release of a major success in his career. So again, he said, well, these are people who are jealous, they're haters. So it was fairly believable, even though like it was mounting. And then I think it was 2019, literally like right as they started filming this movie, an expose came out, and these were very, very serious allegations. That being said, I, I, I think I looked it up like a couple months ago. There's been no criminal prosecution. There's a civil suit, but it was one of those things where it's like, hey, this looks really bad, but it's like, then it just became like a civil thing, civil lawsuit. His career ended, but this one was already filming. You know what I mean? Like, if it would have been like one day away from filming, I think it would have been canceled, but they were like 2 weeks in. So what they said is they did, and this is like a couple years ago, they did a press release. They're like, look, yes, we bought this from him. It's been rewritten a million times. He's not on the set. He's been distanced from the project. This is a female director. It's a female lead. I think it's a female producer. So then it didn't come out, which is weird because it was filmed like 2 years ago. And it's a short movie. It doesn't need like years of, although there is a lot of effects in here, and they're actually pretty good for what has been said to be a low budget. So finally it came out on January 1st on that early pass, whatever, where they charge you like $19.99 to watch something. I was like, ugh. But the trailer is really good. The trailer is really over the top. I will give the trailer credit. The trailer does not hide the movie that it is. You see that it's very hateful toward men in the trailer. You also see the really ridiculous, over-the-top physical stuff. So I was like, maybe that's just in the trailer. No, it was actually a very honest trailer, as you know, not honest trailers, but it was honest about itself. So again, okay, so now we're going to go back to the crew. The crew are a bunch of, here's how I'll describe them. The only reason they're not raping Chloe is because they're all busy. They're either flying the plane, navigating, manning the radio, manning the top gun, rear gun, port and starboard, turrets that they had on those World War II bombers, those bubble turrets they had. So again, I want to emphasize, the only reason that Chloe Moritz's character is not being gang raped by this crew is that they are busy flying a plane. Originally on some sort of transport mission, then it becomes combat. More precisely, about half of them are clearly going to rape her. The other half are clearly not going to stop it or report it. Although there's one that's kind of an asterisk, but then when you learn more about his character, you're like, yeah, he wouldn't have done shit. So, Hateful. Now, if you want to do a story about a really surly crew, I mean, these aren't military men. First of all, it's this weird crew of, they have like a Kiwi, a Scottish guy, and Americans, and then I think, was there one? No, there wasn't any Brits. But it didn't make sense. It was very movie-ish. I think they threw out like one line of dialogue to explain why there was people from multiple different countries in one bomber. But I mean, hateful, awful people. Now, if you want to do a thing where it's like, oh, haha, like the Gremlin, and it's a story about a Gremlin. The Gremlin is actually pretty cool. I just have a couple problems with the Gremlin. The Gremlin eventually is shown in very clear daylight scenes. And what is interesting is it looks like a creature that could be alive. Oh, I forgot to explain Gremlins. So Gremlins first popped up in the Royal Air Force in the UK in World War II, before the Americans got into it. And it was a way to explain away basically shoddy maintenance. If there was something wrong with an engine that you didn't properly PMCS, which is basically prevention maintenance, I forget. we'd always just say PMCS. Go PMCS vehicles. It means go through the manual, go through all the steps you're supposed to do for maintenance, and make sure to do every one. What happens when you start getting really busy and you're working every day for months is you start slipping. You start skipping things, and then all of a sudden differential seizes up because we never had a problem with the differential before, so we just started. Everyone does it. Everyone. The most locked on soldier, X amount of months into your deployment, you will start skipping parts. Then there'll be a problem. Then everyone gets yelled at. Then someone gets relieved. And then all of a sudden you're back. You're doing all the PMCS. So it was this thing that air crews would use to basically excuse themselves for having problems. It's like, oh, how come the rear hatch isn't securing properly? Oh, gremlins. No, you haven't inspected it in the last 17 missions. A problem popped up 14 missions ago. It became serious 3 missions ago, and right now you're in the air and you have to hold it shut because the locking mechanism is fouled somehow. So that's what a gremlin is. So it's a gremlin. At first there was bits where I'm watching it on TV. It's not a huge TV, but it's not necessarily small. And they were showing shots that I thought was supposed to be like the POV of Chloe Moretz seeing it, and I couldn't see anything. So this gang of rapists, they punish her by putting her in the bottom bubble, which would have a person that would be there. I think they might have thrown out one line of dialogue to explain why there wasn't someone who was down there. But anyway, so then she ends up getting stuck. She sees the gremlin. And the gremlin is actually pretty cool. What I liked about the gremlin is it looks like it could be a real creature. You know how every year or so there'll be a story, this type of monkey or bat was discovered in the Amazon. It's never been seen by anyone before, and here's the first picture. And you're like, yeah, it looks like a variation of a bat or a monkey. This one looks like a variation of a bat and a monkey. But what I'm saying is it looks real. It looks like it could be some creature that was discovered, and you're just like, oh, it was in this remote part of the Amazon. So it's kind of like a bat monkey. And I just thought it was too large. The whole thing about gremlins is they're supposed to be able to hide on a plane and then do damage and then, I can't find them. I was looking for them. I feel like a gremlin should be like small. And this one's like, if it was a person and it stood up all the way, I think it would be like 5.5 feet tall, and it has really long arms. So the gremlin starts causing problems, and but you forget about it because it's basically a movie about Chloe Moritz's character being kind of, psychically, symbolically raped. And this is not a military, organization. These are essentially a bunch of pirates. In fact, I think a woman would have been safer with actual pirates than this group of evil men. The thing is, if you want to say this woman just got the bad luck of getting on this air crew of the most evil MRFers fighting on the Allied side of World War II, you don't actually need the gremlin. You know what I mean? It's just her trying to hide from this group of rapists on a 8-hour flight. Where they're like, as soon as we get up to, cruising altitude, you're in for it. But no, they introduce this absolutely evil group of men, and then they just try to wave it off like, you know how men are. No, this is not how men are. Yes, there are men like this. These are the men we put in jail. These are the men we build jails to put these men into, and other men arrest them, other men prosecute them, other men guard them. We hate men like this. We hate them. That's why I always, whenever people say this phrase, rape culture, it's like, what do you know, we've had prisons for thousands of years where we specifically put men in for doing this because everyone hates men like this. So again, it's Chloe Moritz's character on an airplane full of rapists. And then it's like, oh no, there's a gremlin outside. It's like, you are in incredible danger without the gremlin. But they don't even really do anything with that. So Chloe Moritz first she has a British accent, then we find out that she's an American. She was faking it. She faked the papers. The big reveal, halfway in is that her secret satchel that you think might have another gremlin in it, or it might have something that will defeat the gremlin. It has a baby. Yeah, it has a baby. She was deployed for the war effort, and she got pregnant, having an affair. Her husband is of course, a murderer, so severely abusive that going back to him is presented as 100% she will be murdered. Although at the end of the movie, we find out that she can fist fight a gremlin. And again, these gremlins are not tiny. This is the size of a man, and one would guess greater strength than a man, and giant talons and giant wings, and she can fist fight him and kill him and force his own talon into his brain and kill him. But she was afraid of going back to her abusive husband. She was also went full term on a pregnancy, gave birth, and this was never detected while she was, I forget what her job was, something in the Air Corps. Although she lied so many times, I don't know. Stupid. Again, if you do this as an anime and you don't have all of the air crew as either rapists or people that would not report a rape, like, it's a freaking mess. Then at one point, now here's the deal. The direction is good, specifically the action. I read an interview with the director, and she said flat out, she's like, yeah, I'm doing this as a calling card. I want high budget action movies. That's what I want to direct. And I absolutely do think she will get one. In fact, I think she's going to get a Marvel or DC or something, some kind of major franchise, whatever. They're going to bring back Star Trek finally as a movie, and she's going to direct it. But Hateful. Now, it's not clear what was rewritten. The director ended up getting co-writing credit. And by the guild rules, you have to rewrite half of the movie to get credit. Now, they did say that Max Landis used like weird fonts, and when they put it into regular font, the script was only like 70 pages long, which is not long enough for a feature. So what I think she rewrote was all of the dialogue, all or most of the dialogue, to get that 50. So she added about, 12 pages of script, but she added a bunch of dialogue and basically made all the men rapists. I think in her head, it's like, well, nobody can say we're on Max Landis' side if we have all the men being evil, but like, you're not really doing anything with it. You just made all of the men rapists. And, World War II, the greatest generation, people generally have a very fond view of World War II veterans. There's also this weird thing at the beginning where they're all basically just like raping her, psychically or symbolically, with just completely degrading her. But then she'll do stuff like be really like up in arms if you don't call her by her rank. It's like, y'all are fighting the Axis, right? Like, is there any concept that you all are on the same side and you have a mutual enemy? And no, like, there's no professionalism. Like, 20 minutes in, the captain will a couple times be like, hey guys, ease up. It's like, what are you saying? Like, postpone the rape, reschedule it? Like, there's no professionalism. So now, again, the plot, just like the bones and the concept, is fine. The action direction is actually really good, but the themes and the ideas and the philosophy and the propaganda of it is absolutely disgustingly hateful. You didn't do anything good by being just as hateful as your so-called enemies. So at the end, yeah, it's Chloe Moretz. She rips her sleeve off to show her muscle, and what it looks like is a 20. I think she was like 21 when this was filmed. It looks like a 21-year-old girl who isn't obese. That's it. There's no muscles. There's no muscle tone. There's no muscle density. No, there's no vascularity. It's just a non-obese 21-year-old woman arm. And then, of course, she's doing all these crazy moves, and she fist fights a monster and kills him with his own talon. Yep. Yep. But it's 2021, and this kind of weird bigotry is allowed because it's done against the right people, men. I don't know. Ugly. I felt sick. I remember I woke up and I was just like, why do I feel sick? I didn't drink or anything last night. I was like, oh yeah, like still like it physically made me feel ill. So not a recommend. I wish I knew when you go to a theater. I've gone to movies and you know in the middle I go to the box office. I go, hey, this movie is awful. I want my money back, and they give you your money back. I don't think there's any way to do that if you know buy the what is it called First Pass or whatever it's called on Amazon Prime. But I want my money back. Movie was awful. So anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.